sorry, I made a severe lapse in my judgment. I've been doing Sanji dirty and we do need to stop calling him 5-Anji. These exaggerations need to stop. He isn't the 5th strongest in the crew. Because chapter 1118 just revealed Luffy's new honorary Straw Hat member in Bonney is the 4th strongest, which now makes Sanji 6-Anji.
He's already dead.
Alright, I'm sorry, I'm gonna stop. But all hope is not lost though, because Bonney can still give a handout by sharing her Nika-ish future. Bonney literally has one of the most busted devil fruit in existence, where in chapter 1103, we learned she is only limited by her own perception of reality. Her power to transform depends on belief of what's real, hence how she ages and even becomes a giant due to those concepts pre-existing. But now, Luffy has cemented the hero her father spoke of throughout her childhood, where Nika is also part of reality. This gave her the power to make a future where she too can become Nika. And to be honest, if she fully understands what it means to be Nika, then she can transform anyone into it. The Gorosei literally have laid the path to their own defeat. We continue after 4 of the Gorosei combined their powers to take down the Iron Giant, causing it to crash through several marine ships before sinking into the water. But as he sinks into the depths, the robot thinks to itself how he wanted to cross paths with Joy Boy, and that he thought it was strange he couldn't find him. This confirms to us that big robot like Zunisha is a sentient living being, complete with hopes, dreams, and even some kind of personality. We knew that the ancient kingdom had phenomenal advanced technology, but the fact that their machines were actually alive in this way truly showcases their might, and it also plays on to the automatas that's currently in the moon. There is also this big emphasis on both the Iron Robot and Vegapunk satellites in this chapter, so that got me thinking, what if this robot was alive in the same way that the satellites are? Rather than, you know, having its own unique personality, this machine could be housing a part or the entirety of someone's mind from the ancient kingdom. Or alternatively, like we've been saying for a long time, the ancient people were able to utilize Haki in a more scientific way, where consciousness can be created or passed down. In essence, devil fruits are made from dreams, which are the will of people. Black blades are fashioned in a similar manner, along with inanimate objects like ships such as Sunny or Mary, gaining personality and life through the love of their crew. But regardless, speaking of vast wells of knowledge, the last bits of Vegapunk's message are revealed as the transponder snail dies. Previously, we knew that his message ended up talking about the D-Clan and the saying more. But in this chapter, that interrupted word follows up with the incomplete message of Vegapunk saying, and their name was John Cena. that doesn't really clear up anything, but it does give the idea that the word more was an attribute, and which was followed by a specific person. And personally, I believe the word was either referring to a hero or a betrayer, where the hero is from the monkey family and the betrayer is Emu D Judas, or maybe even Blackbeard, as Whitebeard literally called him out saying he's not a D, and the Gorosei pointed out, you know, his special lineage. However, Emu makes more sense to me, as Vegapunk was about to reveal a specific name, and we know Emu was alive 800 years ago till this very day. If the knowledge of the D is learned from the poneglyphs of the past, it's more likely going to refer to a person from the past. Also in the English trans, it says was, so the name was a person of the past, right? So yeah, it gotta be Emu D Judas. Plus this, you know, fits my agenda pretty well. Ideally, we will get the answer to this as we learn more about Nika in Elbaf. After all, this is the nation of fables. So where better to hear the greatest story ever told? Speaking of stories, the world is in shambles trying to piece together why Vegapunk's transmission was suddenly cut off. In Alabasta, some people are even questioning if the world government itself was behind Vegapunk's death, while some others are saying that it was the Straw Hats. Now this is of course because Vegapunk didn't make it clear that the world government is behind it all. Also, you know, big news Morgan decided to go full-on propaganda and spread the idea that Luffy had Vegapunk held hostage. But either way, this questioning of the government by the people is what Vegapunk's message was all about, as their sparkling image has been permanently tarnished. Regardless, though Vegapunk is dead, 2 of his satellites are alive. And without wasting any time, Top Man Valkyrie goes supersized, towering over the Navy ships. He seems to have grown even larger than before, suggesting, we still only have seen a fraction of what the Gorosei are really capable of. York confirms Lilith is near the stratum and Atlas is on the northeast coast, where both of them are still connected to Punk Records. Notably, Edison is not mentioned here, which means he is probably dead. I don't know why I found that funny. Listen, I'm not saying he's dead. He could be still alive. Maybe just not connected. And he secretly went to save Stussy, allowing for them to have a Bon Clay-like ending to the arc where he can make a final sacrifice in ensuring that the Straw Hats can escape. Oh wait, never mind. It looks like Dory, Broggy and Luffy have finally made it to the giant ship, joining Bonney, Frankie and Sanji, who, speaking of, after weeks of waiting, your boy has finally showed his worth and surpassed all expectations we had of him. As Luffy and the Giants make it to the ship, Sanji strikes a pose. Look at this man just standing there, just like he was standing there when Vegapunk got donutted. I'm taking a piss, man. I need to stop this Sanji hate.
And you know what I'm saying? It was a couple girls over here that I was talking to. It was a couple girls over there that I was talking to. Out of nowhere, I just, see everybody running. So I look, I'm like, oh, they running.
In all seriousness, I don't hate Sanji. And I'm not slandering. Like, come on. This is a fictional character that I'm critiquing. I still believe he has a lot of potential to fulfill, like the role of being the wings of the Straw Hats. But we have to be real. Since his fight with Queen, Sanji has limited his full power due to the fear of becoming like his siblings. He even went out of his way to tell Zoro to game end him if he loses his senses. So this might be a reason why he's useless. Now, I understand that some of you pointed out chapter 1113 when Sanji, after passionately shouting, "The only one who can score points with Bonney is me," proceeded to kick Gorosei Gandhi in the face, making him bleed. Alright, fine, he can have that. But here's the thing. This wasn't a clash of conquerors, nor did it have any real effect on Gandhi. My Gramps simply took it like a champ. So what if he let out some blood? In truth, there wasn't even a slightest movement that was caused by this strike, as instantly Gandhi Sub changed into horse mode and took a bite out of Sanji. And if it wasn't for the giant Oimo, then Sanji might have been dead, or at least pretty badly injured. Zoro, in comparison, calculatively forced this monster of a Gorosei to disengage with his pursuit of the Straw Hats in Sunny. How? Well, of course, in a clash of conquerors. We're talking pure aura. The objective of Zoro's interaction was achieved. Unlike with Sanji, who had to be saved after a failed attempt at doing so. Now, of course, I also said Zoro is on par with Luffy if the Goroseis are all on the same level, which I stated I clearly don't believe. However, it's fair to say Zoro, after mastering his conquerors, is likely on par with Luffy pre-Gear 5. Like, are we forgetting that Zoro was able to withstand Kaido's full-blown attack and he dealt damage to him, gaining his respect? This was all before Zoro's immense level up after his fight with King. This isn't even a debate. Zoro, unlike Sanji, is considered a supernova on the same platform with the likes of Luffy. But talking about supernova, a theme that is being portrayed and even mentioned by a lot of you in the community is that the Gorosei, who represent stars, will be defeated by these up-and-coming pirates, as when a star dies, it causes the biggest explosion known as a supernova. This is where we come to Bonney. She defeated not one, but 2 vice admirals at the same time by turning Bluegrass and Doll into children.
Who?
These guys, they literally only get outranked by admirals. This is some serious business.
Who?
Okay, fine, forget about them. She did hold her own against the Gorosei for some time, but now that doesn't even matter because things are different. With Luffy as her mentor, Bonney will achieve new heights unlike anything before. We see this after Gorosei Mars, in his awakened bird form, swoops down to the giant's ship to target Atlas by blasting his fiery breath. The giants manage to fend it off with their shields, whilst Luffy goes ham on his Michelin-starred giant core delicious meal prepared by none other than Chef Big Boy. But you know the drill by now. Luffy is tired, Luffy gets food, Luffy reactivates Gear 5. The second Bonney sees him, she recognizes him to be Nika, but of course that name doesn't mean anything to Luffy yet. Meanwhile, Dory and Broggy starts dancing to the beat of liberation. This is where the entire tide of battle takes a turn, a moment 12 years in the making, which the Gorosei set in motion, that which would ironically lead to the Gorosei's defeat. Yep, in chapter 1103, Satin went to state that Bonney's power, though great, are limited by her perception of reality. She can only create a future that she genuinely believes to be a possibility. From that point on, he spent every moment he could demoralizing Bonney and trying to break her faith in Nika. But the moment that she sees Luffy here, that all changes. At first, she doubts that she can be useful to him, saying she couldn't keep up whilst he's in that form. But Luffy just laughs and says, "Of course you can. I'm sure you got this." This is real faith in her. The hero she had heard of from her father was praising her, believing in her, all in the same way that she believed in him. Hearing this, Bonney thinks back to Luffy's first description of Gear 5 when he told her that this is just how I look when I'm totally free. And with this in mind, she creates a new future. This time she doesn't make herself Nika-ish. Instead, she perceives where she is totally free, transforming into a second Nika. Remember, Bonney couldn't have done this if she didn't really believe it was a possibility. Regardless of the tragedy she faced, regardless of how hard Satin tried to crush what was left of her hopes and dreams, Bonney still believes in a future where she can truly be free. This is the power of Nika, the power of Luffy, the power to bring out the best in those around them and really believe in a future where they can be happy. Hence why Nika is depicted as completely white, like a plain canvas where the person can paint anything they want into existence. Regardless, this panel hits hard. Seeing a female Nika and knowing the possibilities are literally endless, she can turn people into Nikas. Like imagine Zoro, Sanji, Usopp, freaking the whole crew having Nika powers. You know how ridiculous that seems? But it makes sense since the Oda literally stated it in an interview that he really wants to just joke around more in the final saga, even if it becomes a manga that people will say your idea is boring. In effect, to some degree, Oda would purposely make everyone Nika just for the lols. In this moment, with two Nikas standing side by side for the first moment in history, their unison of their heart beating with the drums of liberation produce a miracle. And 100 meters below, sitting at the very depths of the ocean, the giant robot begins to stir once more and finally sense where Nika is. This in effect might cause our friendly giant to get a second wind, rising once more, and in turn helping his friend Joy Boy finally leaving to Albath. If you guys want to watch more peak fiction, then make sure to watch this next.